Thank you so much for doing this today. It's really been great to meet you. And so, in the spirit of innovation, you're like the perfect person to close it out, being in the crypto space. But before we get into Kraken, I wanted to just let people get to know a little bit about you and who you are. Um, so, can you tell me where you're from originally?
Yeah, before that, let me crack a joke. I'm not worried about all these people leaving. Last month, I was at an event where I happened to be on the agenda right after John Bon Jovi. They were like a they were like 1,000 people. It was in Miami. I usually don't come to these, but my wife, for a change, came. She brought 3 friends. There were 30 people left after that. I didn't feel bad. Um, so I'm not worried about this. I know that Fernando is a celebrity too. So
Totally.
he probably got everybody with him and they all left. But we have all the smartest people left here. So we can talk about all the cool things.
Yep, absolutely.
Um, well, my story is not as exciting as Fernando's, but I grew up in India. Um, I was an engineer. That time, as a middle class family, if there's a way to get a job, you had to do computer science. So I didn't know any better. Did that. Um, there were two pivots in my career. The first one was when one of my mentors asked me to become a product lead. So I was building just engineering and technology solutions for all different kinds of verticals. But in 2006, we acquired an ad tech product, and he asked me to be a product lead for that. And that's how I evolved from pure engineering to building products for marketing and advertising. And that's how I jumped into the world of marketing. And then the second pivot was I was there at an agency called Sapient, which is now part of Publicis, running technology. But then after 12 years, I ran e-commerce and digital transformation for Kimberly Clark. So I went from the agency side to the brand side, got really fortunate, got some incredible opportunities to run growth at Spotify, work for some amazing brands. And now I work for one of the best crypto brands in the world and one of the best places to work, which is Kraken. We are one of the largest and the longest standing exchanges, now evolving into a marketplace and doing a lot of great stuff. And we firmly believe that crypto is our way to drive, economic and financial freedom around the world. And we've been around for 12 years and very committed to the mission.
No, that's awesome.
I'm
And
looking to side more a little bit.
yeah, you're like
See.
this side, they'll still get attention, don't worry. I think that it's really fascinating to come from that background. So do you feel like having that technology background influences you as a marketer today, like and how you look at the world and think about problems? I'm just curious.
It it does. I think as an engineer, you are taught to break things down into small components and stitch them together, which is systems thinking, top down, bottom up. I think marketing is one function that has dramatically shifted in the last 15 to 20 years. It's definitely become more complex, if not complicated. I think technology has proliferated the channels and everything. Like Fernando was talking about AI. Um, it's massively intertwined with data in tech. It's no longer marketing is here and tech is here. So I think it's helped me a lot, and I feel you can't separate technology as a DNA in marketing and storytelling. I firmly believe that great marketing today connects purpose with profitability, science with storytelling. So I feel that it helps me a lot, but there's no question that the other half of my brain, which is more serendipity and irrationality of an incredible brand, I think that's where I surround myself with some incredible leaders like who are here and many who are in different parts of the world. So, yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. I think you worked for such amazing growth-oriented companies, right? You worked for a massive media company that's been around forever. Taking those past experiences to your new role today, do you have any that thing that you really feel has helped prepare you for your role at Kraken, or that you're taking with you from those experiences to build on what is already an amazing foundation?
Yes, there are a lot of fuck ups I've had in the 20 plus years.
Yeah, I was
So
trying not to say it like that, but that's what we're looking for.
I think we are only an hour away from cocktails, probably. So it's okay. We'll break the ice. Um, but there are a lot of failures, so you learn from those. And one of the things that we talk about at Kraken, which is as an industry, there are two challenges in an industry like that, and a brand and a business like Kraken. You're not only building your brand in a category. that is new, but you're building a brand in a category that just doesn't exist. People don't wake up, people still wake up in the morning thinking about, I want to eat healthier. What are the right ways? You drive education, you can bring people in, but you don't wake up in the morning saying, I'm going to move away from a traditional bank. We're not trained to understand what the fallacies in traditional systems are. We don't even see them because it's been ingrained in our DNA for century. So we are fighting two battles. One, we are first driving inspiration through education and awareness for crypto to understand what we have been missing for 100 years. So we first have to build the category. We have to create the demand and the TAM that doesn't exist. And while doing that, we have to differentiate ourselves, in an honest and authentic way. So my lessons in a world like that, which is so advanced that it is so hard for people to understand, is one, as marketing, you first have to love your product before you love your brand. It is very, very critical because I think for many years, marketeers have almost orchestrated themselves into an island where you start every conversation with the brand, but you don't think about the business and you don't think about the product. So I think that is extremely critical. Second is you have to be obsessed with outcomes and not outputs. As marketing for the longest time, we've been so obsessed with outputs, which is vanity KPIs, launching a campaign. But in the world today, where everyone is pressured to prove profitability, sometimes growth, where the CEO and the CFO is not sure whether they really need marketing, you have to connect that impact with business. You have to connect that impact with user behavior, and that's what I call the outcomes. And lastly, like I said, you have to connect the dots. You just can't be about purpose and mission if you can't drive profitability. You just can't be about storytelling without science, without understanding who your audience is. Those are challenging problems to solve, and they become more challenging in an organization that is product led. Companies like and brands like Spotify, Google, Kraken, Airbnb, they don't bring marketing on day one. They bring marketing in the second phase of their growth. But phase one of growth is entirely driven by product because they're incredible products. They have virality, they have network effects. So for that organization to understand the role of marketing, you have a bit of a mountain to climb every day to reserve to earn the right to be back and be at the table. So it's fun. We are very bullish, very confident, but yeah, those are the lessons that I've learned.
Those are solid. I hope somebody took some notes because that's solid. I think you talked about something really critically important there. I mean, Kraken's been around for a long time, and somebody was last year, like here last night, talking about being like the most secure of those platforms. So I thought that was really interesting. Could be a
We
plan.
should get that quote.
Yeah, you should probably. um, but I think that taking the role of CMO, company that's established, they're entering that next phase. What are you really charged with at Kraken right now in that role, coming into an org that didn't necessarily have that marketing focus?
Yeah, I think the way we all at Kraken think about the role of marketing is ultimately growth. But the way we define growth is slightly evolved. It's not just the quantitative growth. And the way I think about it is, these are three flywheels, and the magic happens at the intersection. And these are, growing your brand, which ultimately creates new demand. Because in a world like crypto, no amount of scientific performance marketing and growth and partnerships will bring the next billion people into the category. You need the emotion and the empathy and the understanding of a brand. So that's one flywheel that we are responsible for. And the second is growing the user base, which is very important because you can move all the brand KPIs, but if it's not translating to revenue, EBITDA, user behavior, habit creation on platform, that deeper understanding and education, then you're not going to move the needle. So that's a second flywheel. So we are responsible for bringing the next set of the 100 million users who understand crypto, different segments. And the third, which is the hardest and the most critical for any business, is grow the user value, which means that, okay, you brought the people in, you made them understand, but how do you keep bringing them back? How do you drive retention? How do you maximize lifetime value? So that's how we think about the three flywheels and the scope of marketing. Underneath that are many levers and muscles. Some we have, some we don't. Some we are in the process of building, but that's how we think about outcomes.
No, it makes a lot of sense. I mean, CMOs are now best friends with the CFOs, or they used to run from them.
Some days.
Yeah, some days is not so great. But you could really touch on something critically important. I think even for potentially some of the people in the room, understanding crypto, waking up in the morning and actually caring to think about it or look at it is a big hurdle, is a big challenge. So, what are you guys doing within the org to try and not only build that awareness that you should care, but truly feel confident in making those moves and trusting Kraken?
Yeah, I think the biggest proof point for us is the product that we built over the last 12 years. It's one of the leading products, and the biggest proof point is that we have not needed marketing at scale in the first 10 years, and we are the third largest in the world after Binance and Coinbase. We are massive. We have massive credibility within the community, within the category. The next stage for us is, of course, scaling it to the next 500 million and a billion
Exactly.
billion users. Um, and our focus is on very honest and authentic storytelling for our brand. So, because we've had a fantastic product, it's organically built a strong brand. But now we are bringing our own brand marketing efforts to piggyback on that foundation and to bring that voice, to not only produce incredible authentic content to reach different segments and audiences, both the ones who are massively advanced and early adopters, because ultimately for these categories to grow, you need those early adopters to become influencers. Unfortunately, in crypto, there's been a guardrail a little bit. It's been an insular community, and brands like us have to bring those guardrails down and make sure that people use platforms like Kraken to bring the next 100 million and the next 10 million user base. So our goal is to drive that storytelling, to amplify that voice, continue to launch products that remove friction, because that's another integral part to drive global adoption of something like this. And last and most critical is, if you compare this revolution to the revolution in mobility with Uber, or before that, with the Tesla in EV space, or the iPhone. See, when we all experienced those products and technologies, it probably took us the first interaction or the 3 or 4 hours to understand and experience the value. Crypto in the first 10 years has been more about the technology. The value is hidden. In those cases, the value was obvious and the tech was hidden. The next 10 years in crypto, where we are focused, is highlighting the value of crypto, and for product and the ecosystem to evolve where we experience it versus talking about the hype, talking about the volatility, or talking about the technology underneath. I think that's going to be the big shift that will spiral the adoption, because it will become relevant to us in our daily lives.
Yeah, that's awesome. It makes a lot of sense. Um, Especially when you think about the coverage and the things you read, it is volatility or the tech or what it's doing or what it's not doing. So I think that's spot on. Um, we're at F1. The whole theme of this event was innovation, of course, but also F1. And you guys just announced partnership. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yes, we are very proud of their work. This is part of um, our efforts to scale the reach and leverage partners that we believe strongly share the mission, um, bring the same credibility in their brand. So Williams is the last right now in the championship. We've just announced our 2-year partnership with them, but we are very proud of it because yes, they are struggling as a team, but they bring the legacy and they bring the credibility. They bring the honesty and courage as a brand over the last many decades. They're actually the second most successful team ever in Formula One championships that not many may realize. So we're very excited about it. We're doing a lot of great stuff. Our goal to partner with them, hasn't just been slapping our logo and our brand everywhere. We also have done this partnership at a very interesting time where no crypto brands is leaning into any more partnerships. And interestingly, we did not do it at a time when everybody else was doing it, because our goal was never to be the loudest voice. Our goal has been to piggyback on a platform like theirs to really reach the audience, which is roughly 390 million around the world. And Formula One is a fantastic platform with 1.5 billion viewership. Their content, Drive to Survive, totally fundamentally changed the sport. So we are very excited about it. We have some amazing, unique activations. Like on the rear wing of the car, we'll actually have some creators showcase their NFTs. And a couple of races back, we actually, had the Bitcoin white paper on the car.
Yeah, I was going to get to that. Yeah, tell
And
us about that.
that's a great example of what Kraken really is. We are not in this just to create hype. Um, we strongly believe we are one of the strongest ambassadors of the mission of crypto. So we use one of the most prime real estate, not to put a logo, but to put the Bitcoin white paper to drive the education, and actually drove a lot of conversations. And even if that brought 100 more people to understand what Bitcoin really was or is and what the genesis was, which is great timing because look at what's happening with all the financial system right now, with all the banks, which is almost a replica of what happened, 15 years back. So that's the way to think about it, and we're very excited that we have a partner who shares the same mindset. And they've been innovators. They focus on engineering, very similar to Kraken.
Yeah, that's cool. We had an F1 race team here yesterday, so it's good to keep the theme going. Um, Knowing that crypto's evolved, there's been a lot of stuff happening within the industry, in the trades news. What is it that you're most excited about? So looking on the positive side of this spectrum, that everyone can walk away and be like, yeah, you don't have to believe all the news. Like, what are you excited about in terms of within crypto as general or Kraken specifically as you look forward?
Yes, Kraken specifically, a lot of incredible products down the pipe this year. We recently announced our NFT marketplace. So um, since this is a very small, feels like we're all one team here. Um, I would just say if you haven't tried any exchange, you don't have to use Kraken, use anything. You can use a decentralized exchange. But this weekend, give it a shot. I promise if you spend 45 minutes to an hour, 10 years from now, you'll look back and remember that one weekend I actually went, took 45 minutes and did something. You will not regret. Um, Play around with NFTs. You can buy something for $10. Don't invest X percentage of your wealth. Buy something for $100 and try sending it to somebody else, but experience it because I can tell you that's the future of humanity. That's the future of the world. So don't delay it, number one. Um, but we are excited about a lot of great products down the line. Everything focuses on removing the friction for anybody who's not in it to enter it and see the impact in their lives. We are excited about very selfishly in marketing. This is the first year where we are truly unleashing marketing. So I joined Kraken last year in April. As you all know, a lot happened last year. It wasn't the time to really scale marketing because you would be tone deaf. People are struggling and trying to survive, send their kids to school. So it's a tough time. But we used that year to really lay a fantastic foundation. And this is the year where we are starting to scale. So we are very excited about our global campaigns that are planned for later this year for activations like Formula One. I have my most incredible team here. They're traveling here from Miami, so they decided to show up at this event. So there's a lot of great stuff happening there. But at the category level, I'm most excited about the next influx of crypto users, and for this category to create human humanly understood use cases that you and I can use on a daily basis and really feel the value of this very incredible and powerful technology and revolution, that started 10 years back.
I think that's beautiful. I bought my first crypto many years ago, and it won't be the last. So that's the last question I had for you. But did anyone else have any questions?
Shannon, please go ahead. Yeah, there are a lot of industries that are already adopting um, crypto in terms of real life use cases. And we should definitely talk about it. Our head of partnership is here, Lou, and Susanna and Shannon as well. We should talk about what you're thinking about it. But categories like the entire creator community. I came from Spotify, so I don't mean just artists, but musicians and so many different places where there's so much bureaucracy. One of the things that every artist wants is direct engagement with fans. When they're on live tour, it takes a lot of time for them to get paid, etc. So blockchain as a technology addresses a lot of that. building communities. A place like this. I know there was nobody checking. There was someone registering, but token gating is a great use case. There's a lot. I come from India. I grew up there. It's a very different world, much like many other countries in Eastern Asia or in South America, where the number of human beings is far greater than the resources you have access to. Places like that, the application of crypto is humongous. Direct access to securing your assets, which can very easily be taken over by the government. What happens in Ukraine is a real life use case, an example of. A lot of people are using blockchain for supply chain. There was a question on, Ted asked a brilliant question about ingredients. Blockchain is a great example of how you can have visibility and transparency into how something is getting produced. There's no way to do that. So um, there are tremendous amount of use cases that can leverage the technology, and crypto is a manifestation of that underlying tech, which is blockchain. And as an immigrant, just having access to the global community. My family lives in India. Some of them live in Europe. Being able to access all of that and not wait for that delay. Being able to overcome all the inflation, which we haven't seen nothing in this country, but in other parts of the world, you could have your life savings disappear because the state did something. That is extremely meaningful and life changing. And I think those are all those categories where we will start to see many use cases come to life at scale. Ted. Yeah, yeah. Um, First, Ted's wearing a less ripple T-shirt. So, sure. Yes.
It felt really apropos.
Yeah.
I was thinking,
Yes. Um, so, great question, Ted. And there's a lot of work happening on a consumer product, for example. So there are three broad segments in crypto in general, and for us as well. One is institutional investors. These are very highly advanced traders. These are bigger organizations, the Barclays and so on, um, and they don't need the simplicity. They're using managed accounts and stuff like that. But then we have a community of advanced traders. This is early adopters. These are folks who are perhaps advanced traders in equity and have moved here. For them, they're looking at innovation. They're looking at flexibility. They're looking at the influx of data from all the exchanges, all the different markets you have, because they are making money every single day. That's their job. But your question is so relevant to the rest of the world, which is how we will drive change, which is people like us, right? I'm part of that because I got into crypto in 2017, late 16, but really got deep in it in the last 14 months. But we are the retail consumers. We are the people walking down the street. And crypto's mission would not be accomplished until people like us are leveraging it for day to day. And there we have a massive focus. We started our journey focusing on advanced traders. 4 years back, we launched our consumer product. And that is where is literally a one click away process to buy something. Where we are investing is learn to earn mindset. So we are going to educate more and more consumers on platform. One of our mission as marketing is to educate them off platform. Um, you haven't seen anything from us because much of this function didn't exist. But to Kraken's credit and the co-founders' credit, we never jumped on the hype. Kraken has never tried to bring the next influx of consumers because this was a way to make money quickly for a certain period of time. Our focus is to bring users in based on the real substance of crypto and not the surface, because the data, I'm sure, has explained to everybody now who were taking that approach and showing up Super Bowl ads, which are great, but not great when you're just trying to intimidate and create FOMO to bring people in. But the data has shown that when people come in for that reason, they also leave the moment the markets dip, right? So that's our goal. Incremental steps. It's a journey for us as well, just like it's a journey for the category. And that's a great point because the marketing in crypto, at least in the last 3 or 4 years, leaned in with the solution, where the world was still searching for the problem, right? So everybody was talking about, oh, this is this brilliant. But if you talk to your friends, all the smartest people from the Ivy League colleges working in the top consulting companies or anywhere will say, but I still don't get what problem is it solving. So for us, our marketing efforts, the problem first comes in making the world understand what problems exist in our daily lives that we aren't trained to see because we are so used to it. You really have a question? She never takes any day off.
You talked a little bit about the two-tier problem that we have at Kraken of having to market not only the brand but also the industry. And I think one of the things that we've done a lot of research on is traditional finance versus cryptocurrency. One thing that is the best. And one of the things we've uncovered is say, well, traditional finance, right? I have a brokerage account, but I also have financial advisors. I tell what my range of risk tolerance is, and then they go invest it for me. Crypto requires more thought from the consumer. And so I wonder, from your perspective and from the room too, if there's one thing that this room can take away of how crypto is going to change money and bring us into the next generation, similar to how Netflix changed how we consume videos. What do you think that this person really take away on why this should be?
That's a very tough question that she is very intentionally posted. Uh, it's not a question she wants the answer for. It's a question she wants me to share so that we share that sentiment here. And I would love for Shannon to answer it too once I share my 2 cents. Um, so, what's the one thing we should take away that crypto will change, right? The way Netflix did to content consumption and streaming. Look, I think for some people, crypto is an asset class. You're investing in crypto because you invest in other things. It's a vertical in whatever document you use, which is fair. Um, for some people, it's a way to save everything you've earned in the last 50 years of your lives. If you're in Ukraine or India is pushing back on it a bit, but depending on if you were in Sri Lanka, where the economy totally crashed, or if you were in Zimbabwe 15 years back or so, where the inflation was 1,500% or something. If you're an artist, you're getting into it because you're tired of giving 85% of what you should earn to the middle layers. So I feel that the use case for every individual could be unique. But what I would love for all of us to take away is don't get into it based on the surface. Take 20, 25 minutes to just read a little bit because I think we are here because we've reached somewhere in our careers and we are smarter than a lot of people. We are privileged in many ways, and we worked hard. And this is a revolution. This is the first time when I'm in my senses, I'm able to tap into a revolution like this because the last time an e-com was happening, I had no freaking clue about life, let alone a career. I was pretty old, but I was just slow. Um, and any revolution before that, I perhaps wasn't born or wasn't, didn't have brains at all. And I did not want to miss this one because 10 years from now, we will all look back and we will say, I wish I had jumped in and dug in a little bit more. Because this is the world we are operating in, a world where the next generation and our kids and their kids are not going to believe in depending on somebody. They want independence.